Hey guys, as promised, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a pair of rose gold filled hoop earrings, just like the pair that I'm wearing today. So if you want to learn how, just keep watching, and this is a super simple tutorial, and I've already written up a blog post, so I'm going to have the link to that in the down bar if you have any other questions about my jewelry or any tips like where to get your supplies and things like that. I'll have that all listed in the blog post, and I'll have that link down below. And this is super easy because you don't need a bunch of findings, you don't need to invest a bunch of money in, all these different little parts and things. It's just a few basic jewelry making tools and wire. That is it. So let's go ahead and get started. For today's tutorial, we're going to be making a classic pair of rose gold filled hoops, just like these. Although today I think I'm going to go a little bit bigger, but I'm going to show you how to make any size hoops you want. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to need is wire. So to choose your wire, I always recommend choosing either a 16 gauge, 18 or 20 gauge. Those are the main gauges of wire that I like to use for making nice sturdy hoops. Now just keep in mind that the higher the number, the thinner the wire. So I'm right in between here. 18 gauge goes through the ear pretty easily. So what I'm going to do is take a round item, and I'm going to be using this little ginger spice jar here. It's just a glass jar, and that's basically the size that I want to make, the diameter that I want my hoops to be. We're going to use this to bend our wire around. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and measure out 2 pieces of wire here. So usually I will just eyeball one piece, decide how long I want it, and go from there. But if it's easier for you, you can take a measuring tape, and that way you'll know every time what size you want to make. So I'm just going to measure out about 6.5 inches. I think that's about how long I'd like to make the pair today. And I'm going to take my little nippers here, just some wire cutters will do. You can get those at Home Depot, Lowe's, jewelry supply stores. The ones that I use are for specifically jewelry making. So I have my piece of wire, and I'm just going to line it up again and cut a second piece to that same size. Next, you're going to need a pair of round nose pliers, and we're going to create a little loop on the end, just like so. Okay, if you can see that. So we're just going to be working on this end first. So I'm just going to take one of my pieces of wire, take my round nose pliers, and just grab the end there really tightly and just curl it around. Okay, so it's going to look like that, and then give it a little curl back just to straighten it out a bit. Alright, and then repeat that on the other piece. So your wire should look like this now. You have an open end and then the end with the 2 loops. So next we're going to go ahead and shape our wire. So that's where my little ginger spice container comes in. And again, you can use any sort of item you can find around the house that's round, that kind of has close to the diameter of earrings that you want. And I'm basically just going to bend the wire all the way around and just pressing it, and that's going to give it its shape. Press those ends down, and then repeat on the second piece. Now you should have 2 fairly uniform pieces of wire, and don't forget that you can customize the size of your hoops just by choosing a different diameter item that you're going to be wrapping your wire around. So if you want smaller hoops, just choose a smaller diameter item and just cut a little bit less wire. And if you want a larger, size hoop, then you would choose a larger item and just cut a little extra wire. So it's really, really simple. So the next step we're going to move on to is shaping the other end here. So we're going to just hold both of our pieces of wire together. We want to line them up so both those ends are going to be perfectly lined up there. I'm going to take my flat nose pliers, and we're just going to go ahead and give these a little pinch. So we're going to pinch them about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. It's up to you how long you want this part. This is the part that's going to be going through your ear. So we're just going to bend that back just like that. So it's just going to have a slight bend. Now on the end that we made the loops, I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and just give those loops a very, very slight bend. And it's not going to be that noticeable. but it is going to help when we go to close our earrings. Next, we're going to need to sand these sharp ends here, because remember, we cut the wires, so they may have a little bit of pokiness there, and we don't want that going through our ears. So I'm using 150 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to take down any of those little sharp edges. Just create a nice soft round in there. Now we're going to be giving our hoops a bit of shape. So we're going to be hammering out from about here all the way around. We're just going to avoid the top areas. We won't need to do those because that's the part that's going to be going through the ear. But we do want to give a little extra shape and texture so it doesn't just look like a plain old wire going through your ear. And it's also going to harden up the wires so it's less prone to bending out of shape. What I'm going to be using today is the chasing hammer. So it's got two sides here. This side is going to be for flattening and flaring out the wire. Once we flatten out the hoop, we're going to switch sides here of the hammer, so we're going to be using this side now to give it some texture. After hammering, you can see that they're a bit flatter now and that they have a hammered texture to them. It just gives a little bit of flash, which is just really classy and beautiful in the ear. Now, we left the top here, so those are still at their, regular round wire, so it still goes through the ear very easily right here. And let's go ahead and just check them out. Usually after hammering, they will need a little bit of tweaking. You might need to, just kind of bend them or shape them a little bit more by hand. But it looks like these turned out pretty well the first time around. And now you have your own pair of classy rose gold filled hoops that would cost a small fortune in the stores, and you're able to customize the size and if you want them textured or not textured. So I hope you guys liked the tutorial. Hopefully you found it helpful, and I hope you'll give it a try. I just think that hoops are so much fun. They're so classy. And these are so easy to make too, so it's just a classic staple in your jewelry collection, and they seem to spice up any outfit just so nicely. And especially for summertime, I don't know what it is, summertime just really gets me into my hoop earrings again every time it comes around. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and again, I will have my blog post down below that I already have written up, so if you need any tips on where to find supplies, or if you want any more information about my jewelry, it'll all be on my blog post, and I think that's everything. So have fun jewelry making. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye!